Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Ashmit Kumar, and here are the headlines that we're tracking this evening. Market receives a fillip from Wipro and Kotak Mahindra Bank. Power financials and telecom stocks spar the Nifty to above the 23,300 mark. Sensex rises 454 points. The union government is considering telecom industry's demand, seeking a waiver of the accrued penalty and interest on their adjusted gross revenue dues. However, there is no timeline or finality on whether the relief will come through. The Supreme Court has already rejected telecom companies' plea and upheld the AGR demand raised by the centre. Company Law Tribunal orders the liquidation of debt-ridden airline Go First. Lenders had filed an application in September last year. Go First is the second airline in the last 4 months after Jet Airways to head towards liquidation. The airline had moved the NCLT for voluntary bankruptcy proceedings in May of 2023. The US Capitol decks up for the inauguration of Trump 2.0. Trump addresses a victory rally in Washington on Sunday evening, pledges a barrage of executive orders on day one itself, says starting tomorrow, he will act with historic speed and strength to fix every single crisis facing the US.
I think he won the elections on the two I's, fighting inflation and on immigration.
Today is the end of the post-Cold War era. It is a new era. It is a G0 era.
The spectre of Donald Trump looms large at Davos. World Economic Forum President Borge Brende says that Trump will use tariffs as a negotiating tactic, will focus on immigration and inflation, which dominated his campaign rhetoric. Eurasia Group's Ian Bremmer says Trump 2.0 is the law of the jungle, with Trump as the apex predator. Nazara Tech to sell 5.4% stake to existing investor Aksana Estates for 495 crores. This will trigger an open offer for another 26%. CEO Nitish Mittal Sen says that though the promoter group holding may fall to below 9%, they are very much in control. Blinkit will not enter the price wars to drive growth, says CEO Albinder Dhinsa. Tells CNBC-TV18 that the focus will be on expanding into new markets and growing by investing in infrastructure. Adds that new business verticals like its ambulance service and its fresh food delivery will be power future growth. That's a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. Food delivery giant Zomato's net profits fall by over 50% to 59 crore rupees, despite a 64% rise in net revenues. Its quick commerce vertical reports an EBITDA loss on the back of higher investments in store expansion. The company says a 63% surge in expenses and a broad-based demand slowdown have also hurt performance. Fintech major Paytm's net loss narrows to 208 crore rupees, even as its digital payments business recovers from the winding down of its payments bank unit. Performance was helped by a rise in gross merchandise value, other income, and subscriber base, but net revenues are down 36%. Sugar mills and exporters may be in for some relief. Sources say the government is likely to allow the export of 1 million tons of sugar in the current season, move to help mills get rid of surplus stock and aid in propping up domestic sugar prices. A formal notification is expected soon. Fresh lease of life for TikTok in the USA after Trump's intervention. The platform begins restoring services after Trump says that they will have to save TikTok. Adds that he will give the Chinese company a 90-day extension to find new owners. 90 Palestinians freed from Israeli prisons in exchange for 3 Israeli women in phase 1 of the Gaza ceasefire. Hundreds of aid trucks queue up outside Gaza to deliver supplies to the war-battered region. Well, we'll come to all of that and a lot more in just a bit. But first, a look at the market action for the day. It was a positive start for this week for the Lal Street. Positive earnings commentary coming in from Kotak Mahindra Bank and Wipro gave the markets a big fillip. Power financials as well as telecom stocks sparked the Nifty to above 23,300 mark. Well, for more on that, Prashant Nair is joining us for a quick wrap of the day's market action. Prashant.
Well, all told, a decent day. The Nifty Bank doing well, broader markets holding on and strong market breadth. And of course, all of this before Trump takes over for his second term as US president. In that session, it was expected to be a bit of a holding pattern kind of a day, but it turned out to be pretty decent with lots of mid-cap action, which I will just detail in a bit from now. So the Nifty and the Nifty Bank up on your screen. By the way, both have crossed their hourly averages, and now the 20-day moving average is just about 1% away from both the Nifty and the Nifty Bank or so. The question, though, is with the headlines out of the US, the inevitable headlines one way or the other, is it going to be a straightforward move higher through some of these levels, daily averages, or will there be volatility? In any case, I mean, the 20-day perhaps becomes the next level, either as a resistance or maybe a level to take out. Now, the Nifty and what did well, Kotak Bank, of course, was a standout gainer, big gains, lots of upgrades. Wipro was another name. Bajaj Finance, Bajaj Finserv stood out. There was NTPC and State Bank of India, which looked good. On the losing side, SBI Life, Trent and Shriram Finance were stocks which actually lost. In the broader markets, after about almost 10 days, Kalyan Jewellers saw some respite, about 6%. Credit Access did quite okay. TTML, Tejas Networks, CG Power. Some of these have basically lost about 15-20% in the last few sessions from the highs and saw some recoveries. Global Spirits, UBL, Greaves Cotton, Ashapura Mindchem, and a name like Sarigama was higher as well. In terms of what was down, BLS was lower. Supreme Industries reported numbers was down. NetWeb, decent numbers, but valuations hurt. SW Solar, no respite, although in the morning it looked up. Voltas, Uno Minda, VMart and Rallis India were some of the others which were lower. I think it's going to be a completely sort of new set of cues which markets will react to, mostly from the global stuff, which we will get to for sure when Trump takes over and, of course, makes that speech. Lots of promises of many executive orders coming, and I think we'll have to deal with all of that as we come back tomorrow. Remember, overnight US stock and bond markets are shut. Back to you.
Right, Prashant, thanks a lot for that. Clearly, Trump 2.0, the buzzword as we head into the inauguration in only a few hours from now. But onto the money market action for now. The rupee remained steady and appreciated slightly against the US dollar as the dollar index traded lower ahead of US President Donald Trump's inauguration. Other Asian currencies, including the Chinese yuan and the Korean won, also traded higher. However, $1 still costs over 86 rupees and 50 paise. Onto the commodity space now. Crude oil prices slipped today over expectations of US President-elect Donald Trump's move to relax curbs on Russia's energy sector in exchange for the end to Ukraine war. The ongoing ceasefire between Israel and Hamas also fueled this fall. And the government is likely to consider the telecom industry's demand to waive the penalty and interest component of AGR dues. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that the Telecos had reached out to the government to seek relief. This after the Supreme Court rejected a curative petition for the recomputation of this AGR demand. Remember, the government had earlier allowed a moratorium and staggered payment schedule as relief, but no waiver had been granted. Shares of Vodafone Idea and Bharti Airtel rose in early trade today on the back of this development. However, there is no timeline or finality on whether a relief will come through. Now, meanwhile, the National Company Law Tribunal has ordered the liquidation of low-cost airline Go First. The NCLT has approved this decision of the Committee of Creditors to liquidate the airline. Lenders had filed an application to liquidate the airline in September of 2024 after Go First was left without a single aircraft and no viable revival option in sight. The airline had filed for a voluntary insolvency resolution process in May of 2023. Well, incoming President Donald Trump is set to take oath in the office as the 47th President of the United States. The U.S. Capitol has decked up for the inauguration. Bitcoin hit a new record high on Monday, crossing over $109,000 today on the back of the ceremony. The ceremony will see the likes of outgoing President Joe Biden, tech CEOs, including his aide Elon Musk, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, and Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg in attendance. Trump's victory rally in Washington last evening was peppered with promises of deporting millions of immigrants and better governance. He has pledged a barrage of executive orders on day one itself.
We're going to stop the invasion of our borders. We're going to reclaim our wealth. We're going to unlock the liquid gold that's right under our feet. Liquid gold. We're going to bring back law and order to our cities. We're going to restore patriotism to our schools, get radical left, woke ideologies the hell out of our military and out of our government. And we are going to make America great again.
Well, even as Donald Trump is all set to get sworn into Washington, his spectre looms large, 4,200 miles away in Davos, Switzerland. CNBC-TV18's managing editor, Shireen Bhan, now joins us live from Davos, from the sidelines of the World Economic Forum's annual meeting. Shireen, you've been speaking with a lot of thought leaders. We're hearing words like law of the jungle and apex predator. Tell us, what is the sense that you're getting on Trump 2.0? Is there a sense of anticipation come the inauguration in only a few hours from now?
Well, absolutely. This is a Trump Davos. There is absolutely no doubt about that. He is going to be the big headliner here when he addresses the World Economic Forum on Thursday. Remember, President Trump has spoken at the World Economic Forum twice in his previous tenure, in 2018 and 2020. And on Thursday, he will address the World Economic Forum. In fact, it is going to be an interactive session as well with select CEOs in conversation with President Trump. So all eyes on what he has to say and what direction the Trump administration is likely to take when it comes to geopolitics and geoeconomics. In 2018, which was when he spoke here for the first time, he did try and assuage concerns around the fact that his policy of America first did not mean America alone. But this time around, as Ian Bremmer was telling us on the channel just a short while ago, that this is a stronger Trump. This is a Trump that has returned to office with a popular victory, with a popular mandate as well. And perhaps that emboldens him to do things the way that he would like them to do. What will we finally see in terms of executive actions on day one? He's promised a lot. We will have to wait to see. But the world is waiting to see how the Trump administration takes forward some of the threats that President Trump has made in the run-up to his oath-taking ceremony, and more importantly, whether we are going to end in a world of more confrontation and even less collaboration. Well, I spoke with Borge Brende, the president of the World Economic Forum, as well, on what the Trump era could mean, or the Trump 2.0 era could mean. And he was very clear that immigration and inflation, the two I's which were a focus point of the Trump campaign, will be priorities for the Trump administration. But on the issue of inflation, if President Trump goes through with his tariff plans and brings in aggressive tariffs across the board, what will that mean as far as inflation is concerned? That is, of course, the question at this point in time. What will it mean for consumers who will have to perhaps fork out more if tariffs are imposed at the levels as which has been speculated or spoken about? Here's Borge Brende and Ian Bremmer on the Trump oath-taking ceremony, the inauguration that will take place shortly, and the impact and implications of President Trump in the White House for the world.
So for him in the U.S., I think he won the elections on the two I's, fighting inflation and on immigration. So I think we will see very soon some steps on the immigration side. But on the inflation, it's a more of a mixed thing. So he will need to also then share what is his economic policy to keep the growth going, but also making sure that inflation is not coming back.
I think the opening salvos are meant to shock. It's meant to say this is the law of the jungle, what I call a G0 world, where he's the apex predator. And, you know, that's not a bad place to be. If you're the United States and if you're Trump, you're going to get a lot of wins that way. Today is the end of the post-Cold War era. It is a new era. It is a G0 era. It is a geopolitical recession. We are in a bust cycle where the strong do what they will and the poor suffer what they must.
Clearly, Trump 2.0 dominating conversations in Davos as well. You can catch our entire coverage of the Trump presidential inauguration from from 10 p.m. onwards right here on CNBC-TV18. Well, back home, shares of Sri Renuka Sugars, Dalmia Bharat Sugar and other sugar stocks surged in today's trade. This after sources told us that the government is set to allow exporters of 10 lakh metric tons to take place this year. Now, the move is expected to provide relief to sugar millers and exporters while maintaining adequate reserves for domestic consumption. A formal notification on the specifics of the export policy is yet to be issued. In earnings action now, fintech major Paytm's losses narrowed to 208 crore rupees from 220 crore rupees on a yearly basis in the third quarter. However, consolidated revenue from operations dropped 36% on an annual basis, while rising 10% on a sequential basis. And food delivery giant Zomato's net profit halved to 59 crore rupees in the third quarter, even as net revenue rose by 64% on a yearly basis. The revenue from the quick commerce business doubled from the previous quarter. However, the vertical recorded an EBITDA loss of 30 crore rupees amidst growing competition in this space. Blinkit reported an EBITDA loss on the back of higher investments in store expansion. Now, shares of Nazara Tech gained in early trade. This after the company said it would sell 5.4% stake to existing investor Aksana Estates for 495 crores. This will trigger an open offer for another 26%. Company CEO Nitish Sen said that though the promoter group holding may fall to below 9%, they are still very much in control.
We are very much, in control of the company. We are going to remain the promoters of the company and hold the positions of MD, CEO, etc. There will be a 5.4% dilution due to the new preferential issue. So maybe our 9% will come down to 8.6 or so. Besides that, the promoters are not selling any equity at this point of time.
Blinkit will not enter the price wars as they are unsustainable. That's the word coming in from Blinkit CEO Albinder Dinsa, speaking exclusively to CNBC-TV18 Shireen Bhan. Dinsa said that growth for the quick commerce business will be driven by market expansion and investing in infrastructure. Dinsa also not worried about rising competition in the quick commerce space. He believes that 7 to 8 competitors will vie for the quick commerce market and more specialized players will emerge in the short term. So Dinsa is betting on future growth of new verticals like the 10-minute ambulance service and 10-minute food delivery. He says he's also exploring the role of quick commerce that it can play in a sector like fashion. He adds that just as horizontal platforms like Flipkart coexist with niche players like Myntra, sector-focused companies will carve out niches in the quick commerce space as well.
So, how are you looking at the race that's currently on? And forget the newer players who are getting in, but at this point in time, it's, Swiggy, Zepto, and you. How do you look at it? Do you believe that there is enough room for everybody? Do you believe that this is a winner-takes-all market? I mean, how do you see this evolving and playing out?
So, we think that there is space for more than one players. And I think just because of the market size, there is going to be obviously space for more than one player.
What would more than one player be? Is it 3? Is it 10? What are we talking about?
I think in the short run, we'll probably see 7 or 8 players go at it, right? And I think a lot of them will find, and I think there will be more players which will join in certain verticals, right? So like everything is not going to be like one platform is not going to be everything. Like when you think about horizontal e-commerce for a player like Flipkart, there is also Myntra, which was specialized in fashion.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of those companies are coming up. A lot of those bets are being taken for sector-focused quick commerce companies, which are going to take some of the insights that we have been able to build on and basically customize it for certain use cases. And they will probably do a better job for those use cases than we will, right? So I think those companies will come up as well. They will probably be subscale today, but I think you will see them come up a lot more over the next few years. So I think there's going to be space for a lot of players of different varieties, right? Both in terms of catering to different segments of the market, right? Catering to different, maybe like geographic areas, catering to different specific categories. I think so this market is going to evolve a lot over the next 10 years. And it's not a mature model anywhere in the world. That is the beauty of this, that this is an India-specific business model.
Well, with that, it's time now for heading into a very short break. But coming up, fresh lease of life for TikTok in USA. After Trump's intervention, the platform begins restoring services after Trump says that they will have to save TikTok. Details when we come back on the other side. Well, let's focus now on TikTok. It's one of the key bit of news that people will be watching for. Now, what's important is that we understand that this is one of the key issues that, in fact, the US president had been working on. The Chinese social media company TikTok has said that it was restoring service to users in the United States after the platform went dark on Sunday. This was in response to a federal ban that US President-elect Donald Trump said that he would try to pause by executive orders on his first day in office. Reports indicate the CEO of TikTok is expected to attend Trump's inauguration ceremony tonight.
TikTok announced it was restoring service to users in the U.S. on Sunday after it briefly went dark in anticipation of a law forcing it to shut down in the country. The video sharing app said the reversal was thanks to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, who said he would revive the app in the U.S. after he was sworn into office on Monday. A bipartisan law had threatened to force TikTok to either divest its U.S. operations or shut down, citing national security concerns and data risks due to the app's Chinese parent company, ByteDance. A unanimous U.S. Supreme Court upheld the law on Friday. But on Sunday, Trump wrote on Truth Social that he would postpone the period of time before the law took effect and set a goal, 50% ownership in the app by U.S. investors. He said, quote, "By doing this, we save TikTok, keep it in good hands, and allow it to stay up." Trump's support for TikTok is a reversal from when he first pushed for the ban in 2020 while in office. Even if temporary, the unprecedented shutdown of TikTok could have a wide-ranging impact. The U.S. has never before banned a major social media platform. The law, passed overwhelmingly by Congress, gives the incoming Trump administration sweeping authority to ban or seek the sale of other Chinese-owned apps. Privately held ByteDance is about 60% owned by institutional investors such as BlackRock and General Atlantic, while its investors and employees own 20% each. It has more than 7,000 employees in the U.S.
Well, staying with international news, at least 90 Palestinians have been freed from Israeli jails as a part of the ceasefire deal. People across West Bank and Gaza can be seen celebrating the hostage release. This comes the day after Hamas released 3 Israeli nations from their captive back to their home country. Today, Palestinians in Gaza were also seen returning to their ruined homes and awaiting the delivery of food and medical assistance. Humanitarian aid supplies also continue to come into the enclave. Around 600 trucks entered Gaza carrying food, water, and medical supplies. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. More news and updates will continue right here on CNBC-TV18.